Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 12 of the Galactic Window Space Podcast. My name is Nick. I'm known as the Orbital Alliance.
And I'm Tan, known as Chasing the Milk.
Chasing the milk in the house. How you doing, Tan?
I think I'm good, man. I think I'm doing awesome.
Okay, you went from I think I'm good to doing awesome pretty quickly, and I love it.
Yep.
It was like, yeah.
Still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, aren't we all? It's good to see everybody here in the chat. This looks like we've got a full house in here. 35 people in the live stream tonight. That just
Anthony's in here.
Just to like call this out immediately right out the top. This is the most people we've had in a concurrently.
We made it.
Yeah.
We made it.
We've never had more people in the stream than tonight. So thank you all, everybody who's come by to say hello, say hi in the chat. This is going to be a really good time hanging out with you guys and hanging out with our special guest as we talk about astrophotography and astronomy and all the fun things. Tan, do you have anything tonight before we get into the thick of it?
Man, I see so many of my friends in here. Guys, thank you so much for hopping over here. Especially I see some of y'all from TikTok too. And shout out to the 35 bots that are also in here. Seriously though, this is huge. 37. We hope you guys enjoy the show. I mean, that's all I got.
Yeah.
We hope you guys like it.
Totally. Well, if it's your first time here, the Galactic Window is all about capturing the stories of unique individuals who love space and sharing them with you, because everybody views the night sky differently. Even though we're all looking at the same thing, maybe we're taking pictures of it, maybe we're out just stargazing while camping, or maybe you're in your own backyard. The way we look at the night sky, it hits us differently and uniquely as individuals. So that's what this podcast is all about, is capturing those unique stories and sharing them with the world. And tonight is certainly no exception, right, Tan?
I'm super excited, dude.
Yeah, dude. Should we just get right into it?
Dude, let's skip it. Yeah, dude. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, here we go. Let's intro our guest tonight. Here we go. On tonight's episode, we're welcoming accomplished astrophotographer and content creator Sarah Mathews to the stage. Over the past 2.5 years, Sarah has built an impressive community of over 103,000 followers on Instagram and 27,000 subscribers on YouTube under the username Sarah Maths Astro. Her videos about astrophotography techniques and astronomical equipment have amassed over 1 million cumulative channel views on YouTube. Her creative delivery style and fun edge makes learning exciting and always encourages you to come back for more. Whether you're new to astronomy or have been around for a while, there's always something to learn from Sarah Maths Astro. We're excited to peer through her galactic window tonight. Please welcome Sarah Mathews to the show. Yes. What's going on, Sarah?
Hey, everyone. How are you?
Welcome in. Welcome to the Galactic Window Space Podcast.
I'm so happy to be here.
It is amazing to have you here in the vicinity of this screen. I think, let's see, can I Brady Bunch this the right way? You're down here. I think that's correct. I got to remember.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah. Opposite way. Yeah.
There we go. I remember last week, I think I was pointing this way at Tan and he was over there and I kind of messed that up.
But me off, bro.
I know. Yeah, it's just what I do. But I'm glad to figure out where you are in reference to myself. This is so exciting that you said yes to be a part of episode 12. And of course, I'm just ready to hear all of the amazing stories that you have about your astrophotography and your content creation and everything in between. So yes, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's an honor.
Dude, I'm stoked. We got Sarah Mathews on the show, bro.
I know, right?
What?
What? You guys are way too nice.
How'd we pull this off? I don't know.
Yeah.
Who'd you pay, Tan?
I'll tell you after the show.
It was Sarah, right? You paid Sarah?
Yeah.
And it turns out Sarah's the guest indefinitely. She's just on every the next permanent guest.
Yep. So I hope we can have 3 + 4, and it's just going to be a good time going forward.
Right. Oh my gosh, Tan, you want to kick us off? Do you have a question right out of the gate that's just burning
I
away
do,
at you?
man. I do.
Mhm.
Real quick, I just want to thank everyone for hanging out in chat. We see all of you guys here, and seriously means the world that you're coming to show support. So yeah, let's get started. Sarah, you are an astrophotographer, content creator, badass. I want to know. Okay, a couple questions. I want to know when you got started, how you got started, but let's first start with this. What were you doing before Astro? What was Sarah like before you were looking up at the night skies? What kind of person were you?
Oh man. Okay, so before I was kind of like publicly looking up at the night sky, or
Mm-hmm.
okay. So before then, I was working in the space industry actually. I started off in like business development, doing kind of enterprise strategy for like new space ventures, and then eventually moved into more of kind of the engineering type role, and kind of this innovation arm of a space company. And yeah, obviously a big fan of space in all respects. So that's kind of what I was doing before then.
Man,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was not expecting that at all. I don't know what I was expecting, just not that.
Tan, what were you doing before space?
Nails.
Nails.
That's awesome.
still
Everyone
doing it,
has
bro.
them.
Yeah.
What about you, Nick?
Oh, I used to work in, well, I guess I was in a couple of different industries, but I was in the I guess the raw materials industry for cosmetics and industrials, and then I moved to the church, and I worked in a church for 5 years. So yeah, those
Pastor
were my
Nick.
yeah. Not quite. I was not ordained. I was a technical director, so I was doing all the audio, video, and lighting for the services and stuff. So yeah, not quite pastoral, but it was a good time regardless, you know. But we all kind of like ended up in different places, and now we're all in the same realm.
Yeah, I was totally joking about the nails thing. I did. I was like a freelance videographer, so kind of always had a thing for creating some kind of content. But kind of like what Nick was saying, it is kind of cool how we are so very different human beings, and here we are, going to talk about something that brings us all together, and that's the night skies, Astro. So let's talk about that. Let's when was the seed planted? Was it just tell me about that.
Well, to kind of become a content creator, or just space, like the seed of me just like loving space?
Maybe a little bit of both. Like when did you start, when did you say, I think I'm going to start taking photos of things in the night sky?
Yeah, I mean, I have always just been very perplexed by space since I was a kid. I mean, I've been a very existential person my whole life. I think space is kind of that like materialization of all these questions I had as a human being. How far does it go? How long has it been around? How long will all of this be around? Has it ever, will it ever stop? Or, and so just kind of throughout my life asking these questions, I think there was just kind of just this natural connection between this very technical scientific field, but also this artistic creative outlet. And that's where, for me, astrophotography really hit the nail on the head, and combining a lot of my kind of my two biggest passions. So I would say probably around 2019, when it really started to head towards me actually really doing this. I kind of thought about doing astrophotography for probably for a year before I actually really got into it. And by that I mean just even just pointing, taking a picture of something. So yeah, probably the last 4 or 5 years.
Isn't it amazing how quickly that it can all just take off? You start so simple, and with maybe just one idea, and then it blows up into this huge hobby and passion. And is that how you would describe it too?
Most definitely. Yeah, it's you learn so much about yourself throughout the process as well. And it's funny because I've changed a lot around or through this journey, and maybe not changed, but I've really connected even more with myself and unlearned a lot of other things. And I think it's just been just one of the best journeys ever.
Well, what better zone to be in than to explore literally the ultimate frontier, right? There's
Absolutely.
always something to be exploring, no matter who you are. Like no one's going to run out of space to be looking at and adventuring into. There's something for you, there's something for me, there's something for Tan, maybe, unless he's too busy doing nails. But
hey, yeah, we need that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It kind of reminds me, in astrophotography, a lot of folks have been, finding new space targets, and it's just so cool to just have these new discoveries happen. There's just so much still out there to be discovered, and I think that it just connects so deeply to us humans, and it's just like this incessant need to explore, to discover, to be a part of what else is out there. And it's really inspiring in that capacity. I mean, it's inspiring for a lot of reasons, but to your exact point, there's just like so much more. There's so much space out there. And we're just there waiting for it all to be discoverable based off of the tools that we do have.
Yeah. Do you have any explorers throughout history? Maybe they're still alive, maybe they're long past, but any explorers that you find inspirational? Someone who's like inspired you?
Oh man, good question. Okay, how about Jodie Foster in Contact? I know it's like it's a fictional character, but yeah, I think just the fact that she was just looking, it was just something that piqued her interest, and just enough, and then she like dedicated her whole life to it, and then whether or not she like actually went to this other planet or realm, we don't know. For those if you're not familiar with what Contact is, it's a book by Carl Sagan, the late astronomer. It's also a movie that's where Jodie Foster is in. And yeah, it's just really cool because she's exploring in so many different ways, both through radio astronomy and then also like going somewhere different for the first time. So yeah, probably her.
That's a really great answer. And I love that you didn't exclude fiction, and because that my brain of course was like one lane. I'm like, oh yeah, like real people. But if I were to think about people who've inspired me, there's a whole list of people who are fictional. Like, why would we discount them? Like the stories that go with them, the adventures that we kind of share alongside like these characters, like they're just as impactful sometimes, if not more. Like, why would we discount fiction? So I love that you went there with that. That's so cool.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how it was going to land, but yeah, I'm very interested to hear what, like, do you guys have favorite explorers then? Fictional or otherwise? Like, I know you kind of mentioned that already, but.
Tan, what you got?
Nothing right now.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I mean, I think, I've always been drawn to Commander Chris Hadfield, who's, a Canadian astronaut, kind of a fame and legend for doing the first music video from space. And of course he's still around, he's kind of current, but yeah, he's a space explorer and pioneer for Canada. Like, I'm not from Canada, but I just admire that he does that for his country, and has led the way, and that exploration attitude and spirit has always been inspirational for me. So I was always a huge fan of Chris Hadfield.
I love that.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's really, great choice. I think he's just such a phenomenal person, and like all the outreach that he does and is really phenomenal. So
yeah, he's great.
So now that I think about it, I think he's a content creator that's passed, but his name is Alan Wallace, and he was kind of like my first intro to Milky Way photography. And if you guys don't know him, you gotta check out his work. This guy's phenomenal, but he just has such a way with making it a lot more interesting than just you gotta go here, hit the shutter button, and then voila, you have a photo. So very inspirational, and honestly, there's so many content creators out there. I've watched some of your videos before, Sarah. So yeah, just a lot of my inspiration is just on here on YouTube.
Yeah, Alan Wallace is like phenomenal. If you guys don't know who he is, I definitely recommend checking him out. So to echo Utan, and I think he just did a phenomenal job. I keep saying phenomenal, but he really did a phenomenal job through storytelling. And I think being able to like really be with you through the entire process, whether that was in his office or whether he was like actually out on the field. I don't know. He definitely was a special dude.
For sure.
Yeah. I had watched a couple of Alan's videos over the years, and I didn't quite get totally to know him, or certainly didn't get a chance to like message him or get to meet him, but I know his impact in the community was like really, really deep, and his loss was certainly devastating for sure. But I think his legacy like really shined on, and already just in the has been like it's been like half a year maybe. He's just immortalized in this spirit, and I love that.
Yeah, for sure. He's a cool dude.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Alan.
For sure. Sarah, I've been curious, like with your videos, like you have this love of astronomy, but the other component of being a content creator, of course, is capturing that and putting it into a form factor that an audience can view and enjoy and learn from. Like, how did you learn your video skills to make your channel the way it is now? Like, did you have pre-existing video production skills at all, or is it something you picked up kind of on the fly as you were learning your astronomy passion?
Honestly, zero. Zero experience with lighting, with videography, cinematography, audio. So that's a whole other endeavor in and of itself. So that was a lot of trial and error. And then in terms of just like packaging, this very technical scientific information, both from the astronomy side, but also from the photography side. It was a lot for sure. And it still is sometimes, but I think that you become more knowledgeable by trying to teach others. And that's probably what's helped me the most too, because I'm just constantly asking like, who is on the other side? Like, how are they receiving this information? And obviously like, I can't know for sure about anything, but just trying to always think about like who is on the other side has really been helpful. Because we're all just like coming from different places and different perspectives, and sometimes that can be overwhelming, but other times I think that it really challenges you to be even more introspective. How can I be a better educator? How can I communicate more effectively? And it's still a work in progress, certainly, just like everything that I mentioned before this.
For sure.
You're good at it. You like, most of your videos are long form, and that's what I really like, because I have this mentality of having everything like to be digestible. So like everything's, like if I were to make like a tutorial video, it'd be like 30 seconds long, and people are like, I didn't learn anything, dude. Whereas you're taking the time and just explaining every little, you're almost kind of holding their hand throughout the process and explaining to them like, here's what I think about this product. This is why. And, you provide like tests, and it's just awesome. I think it's an art, because most people who are consuming it, whenever you're just watching a movie, you're kind of just playing it in your head, and you're like, okay, I'm learning and I'm watching it, but you aren't really thinking behind the scenes of like how much you're trying to explain to the average person, that little things that most of us would probably gloss over. So I think it's pretty awesome. It's an art.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, but I also really appreciate like shorter form content as well. That's a whole other skill set in and of itself, and being able to have these very digestible, fast points that are going to actually be impactful. That is a big skill that I think both of you have in spades, like, or in aces, or whatever the phrase is. Like, yeah, it's just it's kind of like a TED talk. Like, how good can you be at digesting these kind of large concepts very quickly, and to like a large audience from different perspectives and different backgrounds. Like, that's, I think, the art form of short form content. So right back at you.
Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to pick a type of video that you would describe as like one that energizes you the most, like if you were to sit down with like a clean sheet of paper and be like, what video am I going to make next? Like, what immediately comes to your mind? Like, what sort of video type? Maybe it's a topic or a style of video. Is there something like that you have, or like that fires me up? Oh, did we lose? Do we have a signal?
I think she's just standing still, bro.
She's total statue.
Oh no.
All right. Well, looks like we've got some connectivity issues for the moment. So
let's add to the chat.
Yeah, we can say hit the chat. We'll wait until Sarah comes back and joins us. Sarah, if you can hear us, then we'll wait for you to come back. Feel free to leave and jump back in when you are ready.
I love this. Sarah is my inspiration this year. That's cool. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, if you guys don't know who Sarah is, she does a lot of astrophotography content, and just her in-depth reviews and tutorials and tips are just so good. So good.
For sure. Great place to start if you're looking to get into astrophotography or you're shopping around for equipment that you might want to get some advice on that, you've never tried out for yourself. So there's some videos that she's got where she can test out that equipment for you and show you exactly how to unbox it and set it up and dial it in for certain types of shots or viewing experiences. And she does it in like a really fun way too, which is great.
Yeah.
Just want to take a quick second here to thank everybody here for tuning in tonight on the Galactic Window, episode 12. It's been an awesome run,
bro.
Right?
12?
Yeah.
What? That's
I know.
Crazy.
Yeah. So,
Chad, this is huge.
It really is. Chad, you jumped in episode 7. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is your 6th episode, man.
No way.
I guess 8 was technically me, solo, but
still, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, this kind of started out as just like an idea. Like, hey man, what if we just did a podcast together? Yeah, what if we did that? Oh my God, you serious? I mean, yeah. What if we did it? We're doing it.
Yeah,
we're doing it. I've been wanting to do this for so long, and Nick was kind of the like the catalyst, kind of like the little push that I needed, because I'm usually just in my head. I'm like, man, no one's gonna like who wants to listen to me, And even now, sometimes I still feel that. I don't know. But
well, that's why I brought
12,
that's why I brought you here, because I said the same thing. I said, who wants to listen to me?
So now we're just both like, who wants to listen to both of us?
Well, doesn't
that
mean we cancel each other out?
Ooh, you're right.
I think that's how math works. But then again, that was not my forte.
Let's see here. I have always looked up to Sarah. Proud of you guys. You're rocking it. Tan, what's your favorite spot for Milky Way photography? From Peter Zelinka? No way. We got another celebrity in here.
Hey, what's going on, Peter? How's it going?
Man, this is Peter. I don't know if you heard of this place, but there's a really cool spot in Kanab, Utah. There's this Airbnb that's just right down the street from town, and it's one of the coolest places, man. How about you?
I see we got Sarah back, so I'm gonna drop her in here. What's happening? We got you back?
Yes.
Sound?
Okay, sound. Yeah, let's drop a mic check in there.
Yes.
Yeah,
I hear you.
We're good.
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I just can't see myself on your guys. Oh, okay. I just can't see myself on the screen, but we're good.
Oh, okay. We can see you and hear you, so
yeah,
all good.
Spoke to
and we lost. Oh no,
she's teasing us. Everyone wants to listen to you. Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, it's okay. We'll carry on with the space conversation tonight while Sarah gets situated in the background, and we'll drop her back in when she swings back into the lobby.
Yeah, actually, I want to give a quick plug to the homie here, just because super awesome that he's in here. So Peter Zelinka, he's also a huge astro creator in the YouTube space. If you guys don't know him, I highly recommend checking out his work, especially if you're wanting to learn how to photograph the night sky, how to photograph deep space. I mean, we're gonna have to save this for another podcast, but I actually met Peter in person by accident, and we became really cool friends. So he's just like Sarah. He's one of the people that I was just always watching on YouTube. And just one day I was on a trip and just randomly saw him, like, dude, that's that guy who does YouTube videos and shows noobs how to take photos of things in space. So it was kind of cool. But yeah, shout out to Peter.
Dude, nice.
Yeah.
I hope I get to randomly run into Peter somewhere.
Dude, you'll probably just run into, I don't know, man. I've ran into my UPS, one of my local UPS workers in Vegas on a plane.
What?
Yeah, flying home. I remember getting on the plane, and I was flying Southwest, and he was like right at the front. So right when I walked in, I'm looking around, and then I look down, and this guy he's just staring at me, but like there's just something about him, and we're both just staring at each other like, I think I know you. And I just asked him, like, dude, like I know you from somewhere. He's like, do you live in Missouri? I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, wait a second. do you work at UPS? And he's like, sure do. What are the chances?
It's crazy. You're just like straight homies with your UPS guy.
Yeah, dude. Gotta have a plug.
Right. Well, you want to be on the right side of the UPS guy because he's handling all your precious orders, like your astro equipment. You don't want the UPS guy like dropping your new telescope on your front porch.
Exactly.
You want him to lay it down. You want him to like, fan it with a palm branch and keep it nice and happy.
Exactly.
So yeah, and when you run into him in the airport, some randomly, then you guys can just like you can see your handshake or something. Oh my gosh! All right, let's see if we can get. There we go.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't know why my internet is weird.
Just say it if you're nervous.
I'm nervous.
I'm a little nervous too.
Yeah, no, I'm seriously. Yeah, my modem like turned off for like no reason, and then once it was connected again, it was just the internet was just not being nice. So I'm very sorry.
No, I told you this would happen right before. Remember? Maybe I was like, don't worry, there's still time for something.
Oh yeah, it is true. You totally did. And I was like, yeah. And I was just like, no, we'll just handle the challenges as they come. So yes, thank you everyone.
It's all good. Yeah, no sweat at all. We're glad you're back. And it's like one of those things where, you just it's like life, right? There's always things that send you on little adventures. And I'd prefer to consider them adventures because then you learn something, right?
True. Absolutely.
Yep. Back to the deep space conversation. We were talking about you being a creator, and I think the question we left off on was, I had asked if you were to sit down and make a new video for any of your channels, and you had a blank piece of paper in front of you for your ideas, like what would be one of the most energizing and exciting ideas that you could pick up right out of the gate? Like something that like maybe a video type or a video subject, like what type of video like really gets your creative juices firing?
Oh man,
that's a solid question, bro.
Yeah, so I absolutely love the science of these different deep space objects and what these different deep space objects are composed of. I think it's really fascinating to understand why they are the way that they are and how that impacts the way that we end up photographing them. For example, like if it's an emission nebula, like the Orion Nebula, for example, you would want to use certain filters when you're imaging them because you'd be able to pull out different types of details a little bit more easily, depending on kind of your light pollution that you're in and different other things that are going on. But I just love understanding what's going on with these deep space objects because they're all so unique. And then also just, the science behind it, I think is really fascinating. But I also think doing something around just planetary imaging for beginners would be really cool as well, because I think that is the less abstract concept or less kind of abstract topic in astrophotography, because we're kind of familiar with planets, right? That's kind of like what gets going from when we're really young in the understanding of the universe. And so probably something around those two topics, if I could give you two.
Yeah, of course.
I like that. Yeah.
There are no rules.
There are no rules. We will break them if there are.
Exactly. I think we're doing something wrong if we're not breaking rules tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. Like the on-ramp for most people are planets. Like when you're in, I don't know, maybe kindergarten, first grade, like what's on the wall in your classroom? It's usually a chart of the planets all in a row, right? So like that's a super like palatable and easily understood avenue for most people. And then helping people find an opportunity to learn how they can image them and find them, like that's super cool.
It's insane.
Yeah. What about you guys? What would you do?
Ooh, goodness. Podcast. Just kidding.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Right. Low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've always liked, making videos about capturing those like really intense, like astrophotography moments. Like for me, I love capturing images of the International Space Station, particularly like transiting the sun or the moon. So those transit moments are like really intense. And I love to make videos about capturing those times because I'm usually like this like giddy weirdo out in the middle of nowhere.
Like what is he up to?
Super weird, dude.
Right. Like
why is he smiling.
He's jumping up and down, and now he's like doing the worm. What the heck?
It's weird.
And he's got a camera. Yeah, it's like it's those moments that you have to be in the exact place at the exact time. So you do have to go to strange places. Sometimes you're in like a public park. Sometimes you're on the side of the road. Sometimes you're in a Home Depot parking lot. You know, and I just like the extravagance and the random nature of some of those videos, but also just the intensity, because I've had so many times where I've failed at getting the shot, where like as I document these videos, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you guys, I just did this big setup just for you to watch me fail, you know. But then there's the other side of the coin where it's like if you nail the shot, then you can jump around and be a weirdo. So I like the risk that goes with those videos. That's my answer.
Love that.
That's a good answer. And I really appreciate that you share the fails, because a lot of times people, like, they don't see them. They'll see us posting these really cool photos of like whatever it is, like the moon, Jupiter, or some deep space object. But like they probably didn't know about like the 12 hours your crap wasn't running right, or your camera getting like dewed up because it was too cold, or all these little things that we usually don't share. And if you guys join the hobby, you'll know that there are tons of frustrations that come along with it, and it's just part of the package. Like you can't skip it. You can't. It's just part of it. So I love that you shared that, because I think all those moments make it that much more worthwhile whenever you do capture it, right? Whenever you do finally, after the 4th time of doing it or whatever, you finally get it. You're like, oh yes, all that blood and sweat is so worth it, and it just makes it that much more rewarding. It's a special thing.
Sarah, have you ever set up for a shot and then had it be ruined, or have something happen that stopped you from getting the shot?
Oh yeah, like all the time. Just to echo your sentiments, Dan. I mean, I'm constantly like troubleshooting something. And I also tried to image an International Space Station transit a few different times. And, you know, my first time, I really didn't understand the concept of, you know, you need to image it when it's appearing really large in the sky. So it really depends on the time of day as well. And just all those lessons learned make you such a, I don't know, knowledgeable individual. And it's why we can even, I guess, you know, share these photos or share these videos, because we have gone through a lot of those just setbacks. I mean, it's just like life. It really is like a metaphor for life. It's like sports. I mean, hold on, my cat is, one second. Speaking of,
we gotta see the cat.
Yeah, we do need to.
We can't just not bring up the cat. Not show
yeah,
the cat.
Right.
We need to meet this cat. Yeah.
His name is Hubble, actually, as well. Because
Hubble?
Yeah.
Let's see Hubble.
All right.
That's perfect.
Oh,
Hey.
it looks like a Hubble.
He only has one eye, and that's why his name is Hubble, because like
Oh,
a telescope. He's yeah, you can't.
Oh man, Hubble, what up?
What's
Hubble
good,
wants to say
Hubble?
something.
He says, "What's up, homies?"
Yeah.
Okay. All right, there you go. Yeah. So it happened. I mess up all the time, and I think that if you just keep going, learn from your mistakes, that's just what's really going to make you a more well-rounded astrophotographer, human being, etc. Yeah, I totally understand like all the failed attempts with the ISS, and just, oh man, just testing out different gear too. That's a whole other thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. I got a question. I want to go back to the content creation thing, because
Sure.
this is something that I always wanted to try to unveil a little bit about us as content creators, because people who watch us, like, they kind of see like one side of things when it's kind of like I want to share more of the behind the scenes of like why you are a content creator. And my question is, like, why do you do it? Why do you make these hour-long videos explaining to people like what you think of this telescope or what that means to you? Like, why do you do it?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And I think just being able to share the journey, I think it's like a very human thing in all of us, just wanting to share, you know, our journey, and, you know, it being a part of, you know, some like trying to help as well. I think it kind of goes back to, sorry, here he is. I think it kind of goes back to
Hubble
just-
Transit.
yes. Yeah. Oh, that was so good. Oh my gosh. I appreciate that so much. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that was great. Okay. Yeah, just being able to share kind of like where I've been, but then also just, yeah, I think helping, just passing the baton, just like bringing other people up along with you. Kind of, yeah, what you were saying earlier, Tan, about like kind of like holding somebody's hand, like not in a negative connotation way, but in like truly like I just want to be there with you because I know what it's like to be there, in that mindset of just being like, wow, like I'm so overwhelmed by all this information. Like I know what it's like to feel overwhelmed by all this different type of information. I mean, I'm still overwhelmed by all this information, but I think just being able to help people synthesize that information and just arrive at some path forward, so that you can kind of be the best that you can be, inch by inch or mile by mile, however, whatever cadence you end up getting there.
That's a superpower. It really is.
Yeah, I think content creation is very powerful, and you get to share part of your journey, but you also just get to be a part of somebody else's journey. And like just that connection, I think, is probably my favorite thing.
Have you ever had the chance to meet somebody that only knows you because of your content?
Probably Nico Carver, if you guys are familiar with nebulaphotos.com. I actually, yeah, he's like, I met him back for the first time in person, like in April of this year for the total solar eclipse. And yeah, he's always been like, just like a tremendous like inspiration for me. And yeah, he's just being able to meet him in person was mostly just because like I also do YouTube, but just being able to meet him, I was like, whoa, like that's so cool. And now I get to like work with him in a lot of other ways. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of the reason why.
That's cool. Can we talk about that? Because I know you guys are doing like a workshop together, right?
True. Yes.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's coming up. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say how that happened. Yeah, just tell me all about it. That's super exciting.
Yeah, so we both have always wanted to do workshops, and it was just one day we were just like having a conversation about it, and we were just like, okay, we should do this, and then we just started planning it, and neither one of us like backed out. So it kind of just took on a life of its own, and it's just been really amazing to be able to like figure out like how are we going to do this, like where it's going to be, like who we're really trying to help in this specific workshop. And being in person is like totally different than, in a lot of ways, than educating online. So that's been interesting. But yeah, it's going to be in Arizona, kind of probably, yeah, towards like Tucson-ish area. And then we're also, it'll be like during like Halloween, like the end of October, early November. So it'll be a really small group, but I think that will, be able to yield like the most kind of like individualized attention possible. But you know what, we're both just like, let's just learn as we go. I think, he comes with like just so much like experience in so many ways. So I feel super fortunate to be working with him.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to jump off the cliff and grow wings on the way down. Is it going to be a requirement to dress up in a costume for
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. I love
it. There's, if you don't, it'll be really awkward, and I'll make sure to make it even more awkward.
One guy just wearing normal clothes.
I'd just be like, why are you here? I'm just kidding. No, it might be a costume for them. Maybe they like dress like really weird most of the time, but I don't know how. I mean, that's not a definition of a costume then. Anyways, yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, congratulations. That's seriously so awesome. I think most of us here probably know who Nico is, and if you guys that are listening don't, he's also just I'd say a giant in the astrophotography space. Again, just kind of like what I was saying earlier, just really good at just explaining things, just really making it enjoyable to actually learn. So check him out if you haven't. And yeah, again, congratulations. That's seriously so cool.
Yeah, thanks.
So have you been out to the Tucson area much? Like when you mentioned that you're going to be kind of out there, is that like a new experience for you, or is that like old hat going to the area?
Definitely a new experience. And the reason why we picked that location specifically is because for that time of year, the cloud coverage is minimal. The clouds are beautiful. Like, I think they're beautiful, but they also are, as everybody I think here knows, is like, they're an obstruction. So that location is going to be hopefully really clear. So we're excited. And I think the weather in terms of like just overall temperature will be cool.
Right.
Cooler.
Cooler. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be very demure.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for saying that. Oh, I feel relieved that someone said it. Oh man, it's been weighing so heavily on me. I'm waiting for that.
Right. I want the chat to keep account of how many times we dropped that word tonight.
Please. Yeah.
I want to say you're like one of the exceptions, the astronomer, astrophotographer that has given a positive comment or remark towards clouds, because it's usually like I don't know, just something I do in my own personal live streams. Whenever we're streaming the stars or something, we just have a strict no, like, you can't say it, so we always just refer to clouds as the C words. So like anytime someone says the C word, we're like, hey, whoa, we don't want that here. And a lot of astrophotographers will just these clouds will just get their blood boiling. But I love that you appreciate them, because they can be really pretty as much as they do hinder and make it really tough to image things in the sky. I love clouds, especially whenever I'm shooting the moon or something like that, because it gives it this nice little moody foreground. And so I appreciate that. Giving some C words some love.
I'm trying to, it's just, there's big, I've been a part of that hater community for sure. Like, I get it, but the fact that they exist means that we exist. So I'll let that slide, that they kind of cover up the sky most of the time.
That kind of reminded me of something I experienced as a kid, and I don't know if you guys are going to be able to relate here, but I used to play the Magic School Bus, like solar system exploration video game on Sega Genesis.
Oh, sweet.
It was
awesome.
So much fun. It was a bunch of like puzzles, and you basically went down the line through all the planets. It was pretty challenging for when I was like 5 or 6 years old, but I had a good time. But the reason I bring it up was because when you got to the planet Venus, the background in the like world that you're in, so you'd be hopping along, it's like a side-scrolling game, but the background had these beautiful clouds because you're on the surface of Venus. And I don't know why, but that always stuck with me. And there's occasionally moments where if I'm just out living life, driving around or something, I'll see clouds that make me think that video games art, and the imagination of the beauty of another planet, and how I like hope to see it one day, but I probably never will. But to your point, Tan, like clouds actually are like really beautiful, and they can be equally the biggest hindrance and also like the most astonishing phenomenon all at the same time. And that simple video game reminds me of that every single time. So I was curious if you guys had played that or experienced like any thought about other planets and how clouds might be just simply beautiful. Like if you go to Venus, you're not worrying about trying to nail astrophotography there. Probably you're just like there to enjoy it, or you're going to die because it's a miserable place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I like to think of clouds every time or anytime I see the clouds, and I'm just like, oh man, like I can't image or observe or anything. Like I'm just like, oh man, that sucks. But then I'm like, well, if somebody is potentially out there, maybe looking at our planet, we're just seeing the other side of what they're seeing. Like, just like how when we see Jupiter, for example, or like Venus, like we're seeing like all these clouds, like, yeah, obviously like, things that look like us probably don't live there. But the fact that, I don't know, just having that interior vantage point, I think is really neat, because every time like we're looking out, like either through like visually or through like spectroscopy, like we're just like looking at these, like, we're just like looking for these things that usually end up as clouds. And I don't know, it's really cool. So I'll probably get a lot of heat for, really vouching for clouds. I don't know why I'm really, really like leaning into this cloud thing, but yeah, that's my answer.
There's gonna be like a video out. It says Sarah Mathews canceled, and it's just like
seriously,
a cloud thumbnail.
I never thought I was gonna be canceled for clouds, but that's the best way to throw shade. It's really
literally.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so
All jokes
good.
aside, though, I love that we're having this discussion about clouds, because whenever you were talking about it, Nick, it took me a second to realize that I think clouds is one of the few things left that has kind of allowed me to maintain some of my imagination. It's not very often I'm looking around the house, I'm like, oh, this looks like a dinosaur. But when I look at the sky, when I see the clouds and start complaining about it or whatever, or appreciate it, sometimes I'll see tons of shapes. And I'm sure you guys can relate. Maybe you'll see like a little heart, or sometimes it almost feels like a personal message. And I just don't get that with anything else. So as much as I talk crap on the C word, let's get a moment of silence for the clouds up there.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna get clouded out for the next month, bro.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you really
it's
like
all
us.
our fault.
Yeah, no, but it's like, to your point, it's like, I think of with different nebulae out there, we're always just like looking for things that remind us of other familiar things and trying to like bring it back home. And I think clouds are like that first point of contact of like, hey, like what might this look like that I'm familiar with? And it's like, it's such a huge inspiration because it's a little bit familiar, but not familiar enough for us to like kind of just be like, okay, I'm done exploring. Like, it just is like familiar enough for you to like want to go and ask more questions or go explore a little bit more.
Pour one out for the clouds.
Yeah, Joe.
I loved it.
We're all getting canceled for sure, dude.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'm sorry I brought this upon us.
No, but you made a good point though, Sarah. You said nebula and nebulae. Those are just clouds, right? Like we don't hold beefs with those clouds.
Not lately, I don't.
Yeah, right. So it's like, can we really like have beef with the blanket term cloud? Like I think you can't. You have to be like, I guess, more specific. I wonder. I might have to be more conscious as I go out and start talking about.
More mindful, more demure.
I would. Yeah, more demure. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, good. Glad we covered.
Oh my gosh. I see Stephanie the chat going pareidolia, the start of our friendship. Yeah, the phenomenon of if you see a shape in the clouds that it's like, oh, that looks like a rabbit, that looks like an elephant. We brought this up in a podcast episode last year, like right when I started it, and that's funny. Nice throwback.
Yeah, I mean, we're always just like trying to find the familiar and the unfamiliar, and sometimes it freaks us out, like clowns, because they're just like familiar enough to humans, like, but they're not. They're humans, but they look similar, but they're not, so they're scared. I don't know. I digress. But anyways, clouds are cool.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what else?
We need to make a band called the Insane Cloud Posse.
Yeah, that's actually why I decided to come on this show. Is like my entire motive was just like, all right, somehow I'm gonna figure out how we get on this.
That was my
real stuff. Yeah.
That was my ploy. This is actually your audition.
Oh, sweet. That's better that way. I would have been like extra nervous.
I love it.
Oh, we're off the rails in the best way.
Yeah, we are.
Man. It's so good. Oh my gosh. Oh geez.
Let's get back on track, shall we?
Yeah. Yes, please. My hair as well.
Let's be mindful.
Let's be more demure about this moving forward. All right.
Yes.
So I have a question when it comes to, again, I love going back to content creation, because like you get it, like, you know, we kind of we undergo the same things, and we kind of have the same mentality when it comes to like creating content. I'm curious, what are some challenges that you face whenever you're making a video? And it doesn't have to be a specific video, but just in general, what are some of the challenges you face when you're just wanting to make a video from point A to point B?
Yeah, really great question. I think the biggest hurdle is just like taking these very complex topics or concepts, and sometimes multiple of them, and being able to understand them enough yourself, like deeply, like actually, deeply. So that does take time, especially for me, where like I like really want to internalize and understand everything. But then, yeah, just like how do you communicate that effectively to a different type of person? Like, there are beginners within beginners, and there's like intermediate between intermediate. There's just like so many different people from different walks of life, and being able to communicate these very complex topics in effective ways is probably the biggest challenge for sure. Yeah. What do you guys think?
I just struggle with them all the time. I don't know. I am notorious for starting projects and then just leaving them unfinished, or getting right to the finish line and saying, this is absolutely trash, no one's gonna watch this. And sometimes it gets to the point where I do it so many times where I just end up not losing motivation or inspiration to even do it. So to answer your question, I don't know. I just get in my head with sometimes, and on the other hand, sometimes I could have an idea and I could just sit there and grind for an hour and make exactly what I want to make, and some change, and I'm super excited about it. So it's kind of it just kind of depends on what cards I'm dealt, and sometimes they're good and sometimes they're crap.
Yeah, I totally understand. It's hard to keep the inspiration going, especially as like the more you think through something, and maybe that's just like part of the process as well. As you're thinking through this idea, like, is it really like what I want it to be? And maybe it's like not necessarily like you're giving up as much as like you've just like worked through it to a point where it's just maybe not what you had in your head, and that's okay too. Like I definitely, every time like I come up with a video, short form or long form, I'm like, I have this idea in my head, and then it always falls short for sure. But sometimes I walk away from projects because I'm just like, it's just, you get to a point and you're like, okay, yeah, actually this is probably not the best thing. I'll revisit it later when I've thought through it differently, or so I empathize with you there.
I'm pretty sure I brought it up in a previous episode, but I'm going to just go ahead and rehash it. One of my favorite kind of anecdotes because I suffer from that too, where I have so many unfinished projects, but a couple of years ago, I was reading Walter Isaacson's book about Leonardo da Vinci. And he was talking about how even da Vinci had a huge list of unfinished projects. Because you think, of course, the Mona Lisa, The Last Supper. I mean, the huge list of famous works that has transcended the past 500 plus years for da Vinci. And everybody knows, like, he's one of the like household names for artists. But he didn't finish most of what he worked on. He was notorious for failing contracts. People who actually paid him to be making things, and he just wouldn't finish it because he either was uninspired or lazy or just like didn't have the will to finish it. So it always like makes me feel so much better that even Leonardo da Vinci himself like left things unfinished. It's a kind of a powerful reminder, I think, that we all have to like afford ourselves some grace, because sometimes you just don't have the gumption or the oomph to like put into that particular project at that time. And there's nothing wrong with revisiting something. I think that we kind of make up these artificial, arbitrary rules for ourselves as creators, where you just feel like, oh, if I didn't make it as soon as the event happened or the moment or whatever, like forget it. Like I'm just, it's off the hook. I'm done. But sometimes there's actually more story to tell, and maybe it just isn't the right time. And I have to remind myself of that as I'm working on things, because I often let things slide. The other thing is the internet. There's a meme out there that's called the creative process. Have you guys seen that before?
I don't think so.
It's 6 steps. And it's about how a creative, and it can be in any industry, maybe you're a painter, maybe you're a videographer or a content creator or whatever, you can apply this same formula to almost any project, and it's the same, almost guaranteed. So the first thing is, this is great, this is okay, this is trash, I'm trash, this might be okay, this is great. So there's a much more uncensored version of it. So I replaced that word with trash. You can fill in the blanks for that. But in the spirit of keeping it PG, it does, like, does that not feel accurate to you guys as creators too, and artists? Like, where you have this huge idea, so this is great. Then you start working on it and you're like, oh man, this isn't quite panning out how I saw it in my head. This is okay. Oh man, this is definitely not panning out how I saw it in my head. This is trash. Then you get self-doubt. You're like, I am trash. And you live in that state the longest. I think the I am trash one is like
still there, baby.
Perpetual.
Space trash.
The best kind.
Right. But then there's that turnaround, and I don't know, you guys can tell me when I'm done, I'll shut my trap. But there's usually a moment when you're working on something and you're in that I am trash phase where you're just like, I am ready to throw in the towel. I'm about to give up. But maybe it's you dropped some random clip in the timeline that you didn't see being in that place before, and it changes your mind about the project. Or you took a day break and you came back to it, and then all of a sudden you see it with fresh eyes. And then you realize this might be okay. And that's that fifth step. And then you push through it, and it starts feeling better. And then you get back to, this is great, that like, I'm proud of this. And the achievement was not so much living up to the original idea, but maybe more, I made it through the idea. Like I saw it through to the end. So what are those things for you guys as you're working? Maybe we'll start with you, Sarah. If you have a project where you're like, oh man, I just don't have it in me to get this done, or I'm starting to feel like trash, like, what are the things that turn that around for you? Do you have any ideas? And you don't have to, but I'm curious.
That meme definitely tracks. I guess I've seen variations of that, and it definitely makes sense. I think it's different almost kind of for each project, short form or long term, or whether or long form, or even like just finishing processing an image, for example. Like, I guess like any project, right? Like I think it's like being okay with it not being what you initially had in mind. I think that kind of goes, like, it sometimes ends up even better. I don't know, just knowing that it kind of evolved with you. I'm kind of just, this is a stream of consciousness right here, but yeah, just knowing that it's kind of evolving with you as you also kind of think through these ideas a little bit more. And just, I don't know, I don't really have a great answer, actually. I think just for me, I'm like, I want to get this done. And I think it's like kind of therapeutic to just being like, this is its own thing. And we kind of like collaborated together in this. I don't know why I'm like thinking it's like this third, it's like own entity, but it is in a way. And you kind of just end up being like, okay, like, I guess we collaborated on this and this is what it is. And you're like, okay, I don't know. Does that make any bit of sense?
Total sense. Yeah. I love that. That is so awesome. Because I think, well, I just had a light bulb moment, and I don't know, I guess it just took this podcast for me to realize it. But what you were saying, I was just thinking of Bob Ross, because he has these happy accidents. And that's something that I think I just need to be more mindful, more demure, more aware of.
Yes.
Is that when I have this... Yeah, sometimes we are so focused on having, okay, this is what I have in my head, and this is how it's going to turn out. But we often forget that there are detours, and it's okay to have these detours. So kind of like what you're saying, sometimes things just, like, to answer your question real quick, Nick, sometimes I'll just hear a song, or I'll just randomly hear something, or the idea or inspiration will just randomly come to me in the middle of the day, and I'll come back to it with fresh eyes, and I'll say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. It is not what I intentionally wanted, but this works out, and sometimes it's even better. So I think, for me personally, I think if I just get better at acknowledging that it doesn't have to be this thing that I had originally envisioned, that's completely okay. And I think I'll probably be more prone to finishing projects if I just have that mindset of, I'm just going to put my heart into it, and whatever happens, I'll be okay with it, versus this is what I want, this is how it has to end. Because I think that if you have that, you're just going to end up falling short, or feeling discouraged that you didn't get there. So thank you so much for bringing that up. That was actually super inspiring. I know it sounds cliche, but sometimes it's just hard to realize it, until someone talks about it.
Yeah, thanks for asking the question.
Got me thinking, Sarah. You have lots of experience posting content to all the major platforms, so Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and you've had varying levels of success, and all of them are, in that threshold of successful. Like, absolutely. I'm curious, which was the one that you find the most interesting to post to?
Ooh, they're all so interesting in their own way, and I kind of go through phases, not intentionally either, but they are all like their own little ecosystem in a way. And I love that. Like, I think that's so cool that they're so unique and different. And because it kind of says, you know, culture is different in different places, and you just kind of get to like observe how culture shows up. That's not going to really answer your question, but I think for me, like, I really like long form content because I get to really think through an idea for like a long time. And that's just like more like how my brain works. It may not be how other people's brains work, but I think for me, like, yeah, YouTube is just like I don't know, it's like this playground that I get to like really like dive into like something and like really work through something. But at the same time, what I really like about Instagram, but especially like TikTok, I feel like TikTok, you kind of just get to be really free. Like, there aren't any rules there. There aren't a lot of rules there. And that's like very freeing. That's like takes a lot of pressure off a lot of times. Although even with that, like, having your content be more just like freeing and getting yourself out of like this more constructive or restrictive kind of mindset is also hard. So yeah, that's not a like specific answer, but that's just kind of how I feel about the question.
For sure. Yeah, I would totally agree that they are their own ecosystems, and they kind of have their own quirks and I don't know, like reflexes. They change and adapt at different rates. They have different like cultures and environments that influence how you produce content. But yeah, it's like I'm kind of the same way. I like to hop around and focus on different ones at different times. I find it rather challenging to keep up with posting the same content everywhere. And not that it's impossible, but I find less joy in that sometimes. Like, there's right moments for it. And maybe like when you reach a certain tier of, you know, notoriety or success, like maybe that's just the only way it has to be. But yeah, like sometimes it's like, you know, if you have friends, like if you hang out with the same friend all the time, like you'll eventually want to take a break. You know, it's like okay, well, let's like spread the love around, you know, like let's hang out with everybody. I feel like each of the platforms are kind of like people, right?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Which one are you currently attached to? Which do you have one that's like knocking at the door? It's like, yeah, come hang out with me.
Probably the YouTubes. Yeah.
YouTubes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Lately also Instagram, but yeah, probably those two. That's kind of like where I've been focusing the most. Also a little bit of Threads. That's a cool, interesting platform. Similar to X, Twitter, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, that's been kind of cool. I've been just enjoying like who I've like kind of been discovering over there.
Totally. I think you're right about like Threads. It's like this niche pocket. It's obviously one of the newest social media platforms, but like when people are on it, they're really active. They're like very active.
Totally.
I have not cracked the code. Yeah. You haven't, Tan?
Yeah. What's it like?
This is the wrong way to put it, but I was gonna say discount Twitter.
Kind of. Yeah. Like before. Yeah. In like the best way. Yeah. Yes. In the best way.
Yeah. Heavy focus on texts and photos. It's kind of just simple. I think it has a cleaner look than X.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's also like heavily tied with Instagram. It's almost like it can't separate itself from Instagram, which I find a little bit frustrating, but but I think it's powerful. And it seems like there's some pretty good, at least with the photography realm, because that's all it keeps feeding me. I'm sure it's different for everybody, but like they seem to do a really good job of like creating kind of these subgroups for like different focuses, you know, for art forms and stuff. So
yeah, great observation. That's for sure what I have also experienced.
Now, like, because each platform is different, you've had like different levels of following on there. Like you have the most following on Instagram, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Like 103,000 people. It's like, is that something that you're just like what? Like, that's so cool. Like, yeah.
I'm just like, oh, sorry. I'm just
Hubble.
He's very demanding. Yeah, it's really weird. I am just like, okay, if you want to follow me, like, I don't know. It was like very unexpected, and obviously like super grateful. I I think I'm kind of like a little bit shy actually about it. I am kind of like, hello, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's like if somebody dropped a stadium in your front yard with 100,000 people in it, like, what would you do?
Be as awkward as I already really am, like in person, and just like, hello, here's some cool space stuff. If you have questions, I might be able to answer. If not, there are really other cool accounts here too. So yeah, I mean, but you two, both of you, like your guys' followings are crazy. I mean, also congrats to you, Tan, on 1 million followers. Like that's wild. That's a lot of people, a lot of breathing organisms that are just like existing in their own ways.
Thank you. Yeah, the idea of followers is crazy. Nick, when you were saying dropping a stadium in front of our house, like sometimes that's how I try to envision followers. Like imagine instead of followers being just like a character notification that pops up, imagine you're walking on a street and it's like, oh, Jason Milk just started following you, and it's like this guy just literally just following behind you, and then after a while, getting to 100,000. That's I mean, it's a lot of people. It's cool. It's a cool thing. But yeah, I think I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like it can be kind of overwhelming too, because I just want to. Sometimes I just want to be kind of just like in the audience, kind of like hidden,
Sure.
And I want to be able to like spectate or at least partake as a, I don't know, I guess normal, like just an average person. And sometimes you can't have that because there's like, I don't know, just like a different set of eyes, or not a different set of eyes, but people, I don't know. It's just like, I think sometimes I feel like people kind of like expect something, or like they think you're like a certain way. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because like I mean, you exist in their mind as this person. I mean, you exist as this like person in different variations to everybody, but to kind of know there's like this collective kind of online knowing of like kind of who you are, who you're perceived to be. It's like it's kind of, while it's cool, it's also, yeah, I can see like it's kind of you don't get to experience the other end of it, of just being like just kind of the other end of being a human in a way. I don't know how to, I'm not putting it in the right way, but
you are. You're articulating it much better than I am. And I think you doing the workshop is a really good example of people kind of seeing past that, right? People will get to meet Nico and Sarah, so they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, this is so cool! I get to meet these guys," and then they're most likely gonna realize after having a conversation in person with you guys, like, "Oh, they're just like me. They're just human beings."
Totally. Yeah, you were just like, yeah, and especially like Nico. Nico is just like this very like normal, real person. He really is just like this really awesome, kind, great person, just like both of you. You know, it's just what you see is what you get, and I think that's cool too, though, when like you meet people that are really what they're like. Kind of as an aside, but yeah, just being able to connect in like the real world it's like very humanizing, because it's very like dehumanizing a lot of times when you're just like this amorphous figure idea. You're just like
Yeah,
this,
for
you're like an
sure.
idea, and it's like just like people can kind of idealize like what like a followership is. People can also like you become an idea as well, and so to make it less abstract, I think is really cool.
Yeah, well said.
And like the internet, of course, can always be misattributed to this or mislabeled as this like hyper dangerous place, but like, and it absolutely can be. But like I think there are so many more good people out there, people who are kind and genuine to who they are on the internet, and just finding those brief moments to make space to meet those people is just really, really powerful. It's pretty
Absolutely.
cool. Mm-hmm.
I think that's what like the best part about social media in general is, like across like all the platforms. Yeah, like I know people are like, oh, they're flat earthers or whatever. Like I like in general though, I've come across like more wonderful, amazing people than any sort of like negativity. And in fact, a lot of like the negative people or perceived negative people, either they're just like trying to like share their viewpoint and they just kind of like want to have a conversation. And then, yeah, there are people who are just trying to be mean, but most people are just maybe like misunderstood. But like most people are like really, really nice. I don't know, but I'm also kind of like I like probably am overly positive, but yeah.
There's no such thing. Yeah, it's just who you are, right? Man, gosh, yeah. I think the internet, when leveraged the right way, like opens so many really cool doors. Like think about like probably all three of us, like our educations in our art form and our craft, like probably most of it is in part due to the internet and the power of it, the people we've met, the people we haven't met. Like every tutorial we've ever watched that's like hosted by somebody throughout the decades that the internet's been around, you know, like we have people to be thankful for. But yeah, it's when used for its true form, it's powerful. And I remember there was an interview with David Bowie back in like the late 90s, I think, when the internet was just starting to like hit the average home in the world. And he kind of accurately predicted that the internet is like a strange creature. It's an alien life form, which very Bowie thing to say. But he said, he's like, I think we're just about to hit the crux of it, the change. Like something's going to change, and it's going to be unlike anything that you can ever imagine. It's going to be powerful and terrible all at the same time. But like, it's going to change the way we think and interact with the whole world. And he was right. Like, you know, in the 90s, people were like, the guy interviewing him literally said, like, isn't this just a way to send email?
Right. Yeah. I know what you're talking. I know which interview you're talking about. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It's so cool. But here we are. We're hosting a video conversation across 1,000 miles or wherever. Like, you know, it's just, it's cool. It's in real time. It's in color. Yeah. You know, because, you know, we normally broadcast in black and white here at the Orbital Alliance Galactic Window podcast.
That would be cool too. It definitely has its own vibe. But yeah, no, I mean, I think David Bowie, just like the foresight that he had, and I think like he was really good at being able to be like, okay, well, we as humans, we're always just kind of trying to like minimize the space and time between you or I, or just like the information that we're sending. And I think that we'll just, you know, that's what we're always trying to make smaller, like that unit of time and that measurement of space. And that's really what the internet has done. That's what fiber optics have done. That's what satellites have done. Just being able to send information more quickly and being able to connect more quickly. And that's just such also a very innate human thing. So shout out to David Bowie.
Also rest in peace.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
We're remembering a lot of late people tonight, and it's yes. I'm here for it.
Yeah, I wear black for a reason. So, I mean, not just because of but anyways.
I have a question, and that kind of made me think about it. Like, when I think about these crazy theoreticals and hypotheticals, like, first question I have: if you had the opportunity to go to space, would you take it? Let's start there, and maybe we'll come back around to the other one. Yeah, I'll have you answer that one.
Okay, sorry. I know I like preemptively like showed my facial expression in response, but I definitely would. And you know, space is obviously it's a scary. Just the process of going to space, being in space, and then the return, if you are returning, all of that is very scary for sure. So, but still, I would. What about you guys?
100%. Yes.
100%?
I don't know.
No, you don't know.
Yeah, I kind of like it down here on Earth. I think it's such a I don't have an easy answer, but basically if consumer space travel was like a regular thing, then yeah, I might consider it. But if there were like you know, if Elon was like beta testing, like, hey, we're looking for 10 people to go out here, sign this waiver. We're not guaranteeing that you might come back. I don't know if I would. Yeah.
That's fair. That's
totally fair. I mean, there's a lot of, we evolved here. It's pretty perfect for us. And, you know, in a way, we are in space. So you do get to check that box anyways. But yeah, it's definitely not an easy decision. And I appreciate that you're like sharing that perspective, because I think that, oh, like you do astronomy and you love space, like surely you would want to like go to outer space. And just to be very like frank about it, like, no, I probably wouldn't, like at least as it is right now. That's cool. Like that's a very honest answer.
Yeah, we have a pretty nice view of everything from down here too. It's very limited, but I just there's so much to see from out here, from down here, and I'm not ready to give it up yet.
Yeah, I love it.
Just think, Tan, you could be on the moon. There's no atmosphere, clear shots every night.
Man, that's true.
Be your own space telescope.
Yeah,
you know. You streaming from the moon. I'm sure TikTok will reach out to you in no time to be like, hey, but
moon collab.
Moon collab, yeah.
That's gonna be pretty trippy if we ever get to the point where we could have TikTok on the moon and live stream Earth. You know?
Yeah.
Get some like, I don't know, like 1,000mm telephoto lens. I mean, that would fill the frame probably. I mean, you could probably get a decent shot of the Earth at 600 or 700. But like thinking about that, like imagine if we had a live streamed like telephoto view of Earth as often as we possibly could, because I mean, it could kind of disappear to some degree, but that would be crazy. Just pure live stream all the time.
People would be like, show me the flags.
Yeah.
Always.
we run into the same arguments.
Yeah.
We'd run into the same arguments.
Trying to talk about like resolution and like resolvable detail, and you're just like, oh man, like, okay, well, the flag is like my camera and telescope combination can only resolve like this patch on the moon, basically, which seems like really close up, but like really like that amount of detail is so difficult to resolve. Like you would need a huge telescope, like with an aperture like what the size of like a football stadium. So
something like that, yeah,
something like that. But
yeah,
it's wild. But it's cool that people are like asking that question. For one, it shows like, you know, they know that we went to the moon, or at least believe that we went to the moon in some capacity. But then also like asking like, hey, is this possible or not? I don't know.
I agree.
Would you go to the moon if you had the chance? Let's get specific about the space flight. Would you go to the moon?
Go to the moon.
I would.
How long are we going for?
Let's say a week.
Okay. Yeah, I would. I would. I think.
Okay.
I think, yeah. What about you?
Yes, 100% yes.
Yeah.
I'm just signed up. Like I'm like sold out for it.
He's on the wait list.
Yeah, I would be if there were one. There probably is one. Let's be honest. It's just, you know, for people with deep pockets. But there's, yeah. I mean, it's so, the moon is so close yet so far, and every time I daydream about like experiencing a different terrestrial surface, but yet still being able to see our home that close, like there's nothing like it. You just can't make that up. We get the inverse of it here, but with the moon, but it's like, obviously this is like what we're comfortable with, but being uncomfortable and seeing, like, I love the Ron Guerin term, fragile oasis, like the Earth, you know, that it's mind melting, and I would just love to experience it. But I think in the future, the distant future, there would be, if there's ever a moon base where it's like beautiful and there's like windows and like it's like you know, kind of a city like that, I would live there in a heartbeat. I'd spend extended periods of time there. Yes.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I think that would be crazy to like have commerce, like to have just like an entire like just livable place, at least with the creature comforts that to some extent that we're used to. But like going back to something that you also said, Nick, with like just being able to see Earth from a different vantage point. I know that we kind of see it from the ISS with those streams, but one of the biggest like inspirations for me, I think across the board when it comes to astronomy, was and still is like Carl Sagan's Pale Blue Dot book. And just like this, if you've ever heard of like this excerpt, he did like an excerpt from it where he's like, he did a speaking, blah. He talked about this excerpt from the book, and it's just basically about like, look at this dot. And I actually have it, like, I have this big like poster in my office with this paragraph basically. But like, when you look at this like pale blue dot, like just this rock suspended in space, and like, that's just us. Like, that's the only thing we've ever known. Like everybody that you've ever known or ever like kind of have known that have existed, like has been on this rock. and we're just like in this vastness of space, and like that's all we have, like you really start to deal a lot more kindly with one another, with yourself, with other people. Like we have no way off this rock right now, and it's in our best interest to be like kinder to one another. And that for me has been like probably the most powerful like concept of all time. Like I remember first hearing that in like 2012, and like I think about it every single day. It's probably just that it's almost like my religion in a way.
Yeah, that's really crazy. Yeah, like you kind of like you can like kind of create your own doctrine that influences like how you live and what you do. You know, and it's like I would have to think that positively enhances the way that you live, right? Like you have this, you're constantly thinking about this perspective that someone's like worded for you in this snippet of a text. And it's just it's got to be profound, right?
Yeah, just this cosmic perspective of like, dude, we're just like on this rock, okay? Like just chill. Like it's all going to end at some point. Like yeah, and it's like very scary to think about, and it's like very humbling and kind of like uncomfortable. But I think once you get over that uncomfortability, and just being okay with like just how vast things are and how unknown, you start to like ask yourself like, how do I find meaning in all of this? And that's like it's like a huge responsibility to take on, to like ask yourself like, what is actually meaningful for me? But I think once you do, it just like changes your entire outlook on life and how you lead your life. Sorry to pontificate or anything, but yeah, it's just been very impactful for me. I think that's a big part of why I do astrophotography as well. Because that gives that kind of cosmic perspective.
Yeah, that's a really important mindset for people to have. And again, it sounds so like cliche or so simple, but the I'm picturing, if you guys don't know the photo, it's just this tiny little, it's literally just a tiny blue dot. And it's kind of ironic that you brought this up because I don't remember who, but someone, a fan or a friend sent me this article, and it was the famous pale blue dot. And I haven't really, I just seen like a photo of it and like a small little excerpt on it, but this is kind of like my sign to really dive into that. What a beautiful and powerful message.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think I don't know, just be kind. It's pretty cool. Space is like as scary as it is, it's like a really cool reminder. Just like at one point in time, everything will just be black. Like we'll just have black holes and like brown dwarfs, like, and just that will all, like right now we're just existing in like a blimp of like light in the universe. At least if we are only in a single universe. But yeah, that alone is just, again, scary, but also very inspiring in how you want to use the time that you do have.
It's beautiful.
It's got me thinking, of course, I feel like we all want to know the answer to this, though. What's your take on potential life elsewhere in the universe?
Man, I go back and forth on this. Like, I do think that there is life, at least kind of in the single-celled organism, kind of like life 1.0 way of things, like bacteria. Oh,
I think we got a little bit. Out? We can hear you if you can hear us.
Okay.
I see your image is frozen.
Yes, it is. I look aggressive.
Let's just all freeze. Yeah,
we'll just hold still.
Yeah. We got you, Sarah.
Yeah, we're still on screen.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't know why.
It's okay.
You think I would? Okay. Well, I don't know what to do now. What should I do?
Worries. We can still hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay,
here,
so
we'll bring it back in here so we can see your icon at least.
Okay.
Yep. Carry on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely think there are like single-celled organisms out there. I don't know. I go back and forth, like I said, on whether like complex. I mean, who's to say that's not complex life? That's not a complex life form, or intelligent for that matter. But yeah, do I think something like us exists out there? Right now, I'm going to say yes, because that's how I feel right now. What about you guys?
Tan?
Yeah, I really like the idea of it, and I'd love to ask the chat too. If you guys are listening, throw in the comments. We've been reading the comments here, so yeah, let us know what you guys think. But my simple-minded answer is I think so. At least I like the idea of there being other life. I think it would just it would be kind of lonely if hypothetically we knew that we were the only ones to exist. It would just be like, why us? Like, why are we so lucky to be the only living, thing in the entire universe? But what about you, Nick? What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think the answer I would give is I certainly want there to be life elsewhere. Like the desire to interact with, like, I would love it if there was peaceful, intelligent life somewhere else. I think that would be the most amazing experience. And certainly if you could have the opportunity to share each other's worlds, like travel between and experience different planets, that's so invigorating to think about. And I think when it comes to maybe just the mere topic of it, the older I get, the more I realize I don't know. I think most of us would probably identify with that. And the idea of being so certain about something like as vast as the potential for life somewhere else, it just doesn't seem to me like that I would have the authority to determine that, like whether it's like true or not. It's just so deep, so far beyond my realm of comprehension that I think I'd probably be foolish to say, oh, for certain, there's no way, there's no life out there. But that's just me. Like, I mean, I know there's a lot of different perspectives, and I 100% respect all of those. But I feel like, at least in my experience, like the older I get, the more I realize I don't know anything about life in the universe. So I that then opens the door to the potential, the increased level of potential for life somewhere else. So and that coincides pretty well with the fact that I just want there to be life somewhere else. So I'm hopeful for it. I'll wrap up with that.
Yeah, well said. I'm gonna read some of the comments here. Let's see. Teresa says we cannot be the only living beings in the universe. Impossible. I thought we only had 9 planets. Now I wonder how many Earths are really out there. I mean, that to me, that's a crazy statement. The fact that there are people who have passed believing, knowing that Pluto was a planet. Yeah, like things could change. We know what we know now, and there's no guarantee. So I see. It looks like there's a lot of people that do believe that there are other life in the universe.
Got some good. Hubble transit.
Sorry, Hubble. Just like let me weigh in on this. Oh, sorry, he's inappropriate right now.
We want to hear the feline opinion on extraterrestrial life.
He's just translating right now. Hold on. Okay.
What if cats were actually aliens?
That's where my mind was going.
Yeah.
He is the alien.
For sure.
He's just coming in to try to like stop talking about it, guys.
Yeah, they're just in character at all times.
It's like Men in Black. Men in Black, right? Like, or wait, the cat had the galaxy like
the Orion. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'd be really fascinating, but at the same time, like really horrifying, because I don't know, like, what would they be like? Would they have the same motives as us? Like, would they have the same, like, kind of like different parts of the brain that we're all competing, like always competing against or with? Like, I don't know. It'd be interesting to understand like what a life form that's like intelligent in the way that we like to think intelligence is, like what that might look like. And also like how it evolved. Like we were talking kind of about like clouds and different planets. And that's obviously like emblematic of like just the different compositions of their planets. But there's like a really cool documentary series on Netflix about different exoplanets or extraterrestrial planets, whatever. Sorry, it's getting late. But it basically is like, what would life look like on these planets if, like, for example, one had like a lot of helium, or one was really close to its host star, or just like all these different things, and the way that they went into all of these different artistic representations that were like really based off of scientists like kind of trying to extrapolate from what we know here on Earth to like those biomarkers potentially on another planet was like really fascinating and really cool. Both it was like sci-fi and nonfiction. So I don't know. It'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, it'd be really cool to also just travel at the speed of light. At least I say that now. It might be like horrifying.
Yeah, you like just get stretched out, and like this like noodle.
Yeah. I mean, I think also seeing a black hole, like that also fascinates me, but also horrifies me.
Yes, like the interstellar gargantua black hole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
That would be terrifying, to say the least.
Sorry.
What's up, Kat?
I'm going to pin this question here.
What is the greatest, most memorable moment in your astro journey, Sarah? This one right now.
Ooh,
It's just honestly, yeah, I think probably photographing Orion for the first time, like just being able to see something that was so abstract in my mind, like on the back of my camera, was really just super impactful. But yeah, I'm sure that there have been so many memorable moments. Really, like each time, like each moment is very memorable.
We've got that moment here. I'm going to pull it up. This is.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Good old Orion.
Yeah, that nice wide field shot. Yeah, and it also just kind of goes to show like you don't need super like crazy equipment. I mean, this is still kind of crazy. I mean, you have a star tracker, like you have to account for the Earth's rotation, which is that's a thing in and of itself. But yeah, with like just like a DSLR and lens, just to be able to like photograph this thing in space is just really cool. I just remember seeing it on the back of the like camera screen, and I was like blown away. So I've never been the same since.
Right? Yeah, it just like sears it in your head. It's like a brand. It's like hot.
Yeah,
it just goes right into your psyche.
Yeah, there was a Sarah before and now a Sarah after, and yeah, and you guys have to deal with the Sarah after now.
Sarah 2.0.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I like
hopefully gonna drop 3.0 soon.
Yeah. Hey, nice. Is that coming up in an over-the-air update?
I hope so. Yeah. It's actually in test flight right now, and people are beta testing it.
Right.
Or I guess I am. I don't know.
Yeah, I heard they had to send Nick 3.0 back to the lab. They're like, yeah, this one didn't work. We got to send it back.
Hey, you know what? It's just we're always evolving.
Full of bugs.
Full of bugs.
Yeah.
Only the good kind.
Right. Oh my goodness. Something. Oh, Tan, did you have something? I think I heard a.
Man, you can hear that?
I could hear that, dude.
You heard that pretty.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna ask. Do you have any goals or any plans for the next 2-3 years? Like, where do you want to end up?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think just being able to make educational content, being able to, focus on science as well, and just, it's like, it's hard because it's like, I don't have like a specific answer, like in terms of like what that really looks like, but it's just continuing to educate in this domain. And I think probably talking a little bit even more about science and the science behind kind of like everything that we're doing. Yeah.
Great answer.
What about you guys?
Tan, you hit it.
Kind of the same answer. I don't know. I don't really know what that looks like yet, but I just know that I have this passion for what I'm doing now. I will say this podcast has been a milestone for me because, my account, everything I've done on TikTok has been growing over the last 4 years. It's been just a roller coaster. But there's always something it was always something missing, and I always just want to do more. And even with this podcast, there's still a part of my brain that says, "Oh, this is awesome. We put a dent into this itch, but now like, what's the next thing?" So there's a lot of uncertainty as in what I want to do or what I would like to do, but I just hope that if I stick to my core values, if I stay true to everything that I'm doing now, that opportunity or whatever it is, or that door will open or it will reveal itself to me at some point. And, I'm kind of just riding the wave and trying to just take it for what it is and enjoy every moment of it because, things can change. Something that I don't like to think about, but it's definitely a thought in my head is that what if one day I wake up and I decide that I just no longer care about the night sky for whatever reason, I get burnt out or whatever it is. I just decide, you know what, like this isn't for me, and it's one of the most terrifying thoughts for me because I don't like this is all I have, this is all I know. So to kind of answer your question, I'm super grateful and excited to be on this path I am in now. I don't know what the future will look like, and that's completely okay. I'm just gonna hold on to the steering wheel and just enjoy the view as much as I can.
I love that.
I resonate with you, Tan. The idea of getting lost in the process, right? There's like I think the most growth happens in discovery, and opportunity happens like when you just are being immersed in having fun along the way and not trying so hard that you're losing the point and like losing the plot or whatever the expression is. And I think as long as I'm having fun, I feel like I'm in the right place, and just getting lost in the process and enjoying it every step of the way, even like the hard stuff. There's always some silver lining. But yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
I like it a lot.
Beautiful answers. It's definitely hard because it's just like, you have this vision, and it's kind of like, like every project, like every creative project, your life is kind of like this big creative project, and you're just like, I think it was John F. Kennedy and that said this, but like I'm gonna totally obliterate this, but be firm on like the vision in terms of like, and I'm paraphrasing, in terms of like know where you're going, but like be flexible in the details, like be okay with like the process, like just go through the process of it all. Because like who you become in the process is everything. Like that's really what it's all about. But that can be like really scary, especially also when you're doing kind of like non-traditional things as well. And
right.
The concept of like, what if I don't have this? What if I'm not interested in this one day? Like, that's also very scary because like so much of like our identity or like who we think we are is one thing. But I think you guys just said it perfectly, and just trying to, take each day as it comes.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Being like one with the clock, and each day as it comes is a really good, it's a really good way of putting it. Like why expend energy? There's that expression that's like worry is debt paid in advance on something that may never happen.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I think I might be butchering that, but yeah, like focus on the here and now. That's also a Star Wars quote. Keep your mind on the here and now where it belongs, or something like that.
Oh, I love it.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
All right, I got a question.
Okay.
If you could have some advice for an aspiring astrophotographer, someone maybe who literally just decided that, you know what, I think I'm gonna get a budget camera, budget DSLR, and I'm gonna learn about the night skies and learn how to photograph it. What are some advice that you could share with them?
I love that question. I think just keep being curious, and to just keep persevering like through some of the challenges that inevitably come up, because photographing the moon can be challenging because it's so bright, or because the Earth's rotating. But just being curious and keeping that curiosity like all the time, I think that will help you to overcome like pretty much like all of the frustrations that come along. So, and just like have grace, like give yourself some grace through this too. It's like, it's not like a, you know, you just go straight to the finish line. It is like a, you know, you know, like this and then like this, and just being okay with that process ahead of time is very helpful. Or sometimes for some people, it's better for you to not know that, but yeah, just be okay with it being kind of overwhelming. Just like jump in, probably is what I would wrap up with. What about you guys?
I love your thought of curiosity, and I'm looking up something really quick because I wanted to say it correctly, but
well, I can start.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, just kind of reiterate what you're saying. I think being patient is probably the most important thing. Like if I were to try to go back in time and, you know, meet Tan and say, give him some advice, I think the biggest thing is I could say, like, dude, there's gonna be nights where you just want to throw your equipment at the wall. You're gonna want to cry. You're gonna want to like rip your hair out. I would just tell myself and anyone else that's getting into the hobby that is the part of the journey. There is again, there's just, you can't skip it. It is, you can read all the books you want and you can learn, you know, everything from all the pros. You can watch all the videos, but there's gonna be times where you're out on the field and then none of the stuff that you learn is gonna apply there, and then you're just gonna run into some things. And if you are patient with yourself, you are gonna be miles ahead of everyone else, because a lot of people, you know, and I'm guilty of this, but a lot of times we'll just get so frustrated where we're like, dude, screw this, I'm done for the whole night, and that's okay. But knowing that it's part of the journey, you're gonna have a huge advantage, because you're gonna say, oh, this sucks, this happened, but you also can acknowledge now that, okay, you know, this is one thing, and once you fix it, you know, you just be ready for the next thing that's gonna make you insane. So in short, just being patient is probably going to be my biggest advice to anyone wanting to get into the hobby, because it is a gnarly hobby. It really is. But being patient, that's something that's extremely important that every person should have in their tool bag, for sure.
Absolutely.
So I looked up the quote because I didn't want to butcher it. But when you said, Sarah, you said curiosity. I mean, that just really got my brain turning, because I love the show Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus. It's a great show, but there's an episode where main character Ted is, you know, in this darts game with kind of the villain of the show, and he's throwing darts, and it seems that, you know, he's kind of the underdog. But he talks about he says the phrase, "Be curious, not judgmental," and I think that's a phrase that, you know, obviously was applicable to the show in the moment, but you can extrapolate it and put it into other scenarios like this. Like, how do you inspire, you know, astrophotographers, creators, people to get interested in space, things like that. Like, be curious, not judgmental. I think it's just like instantly applicable, because if you just keep asking questions, you're going to grow, you're going to learn. But the moment you're judging, you know, information or people or other ideas, you know, that's when you halt that learning. It's when you halt the opportunity to learn, because you're so focused on something outside and external that you're losing focus on like what's really important. And that's just asking the next question. So I would say just, yeah, be curious, not judgmental. Keep asking those questions. That'd be my answer.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, just the less rigid you can be in terms of just like, this is like, there's just so much we don't understand, and that's what I always lead with. Like, I don't know what I don't know, and that doesn't mean like I walk around just with like my brain out on the floor, but I'm very open, and I just really want to keep understanding. Like, since I was a little kid, I was just like always like, why, which is really annoying for my parents, for sure. Shout out to them. But yeah, there's just something like, I don't know what else is there to do unless you're like asking, like trying to understand. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, you don't want to miss the point, right? Like, there's, in every part of our life, there's a point, there's a value and something to be paying attention to, something to take with you. But if you're not curious, like, you're gonna miss it every time, you know.
And that's sad because there's like a lot of really cool stuff out there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Goodness. Space is cool.
Yes.
Oof. I do want to swing things around here. We're going to be rounding third and bringing it home. So, chat, those of you who stuck around with us here on the YouTube live stream, we want to just throw this opportunity to you here. If you have questions for Sarah, drop them in the chat. We might feature them here on the screen, and we'd love to do our best to answer them for you. So maybe take a second to think about it, and drop them in there, and we'll take a look, and we'll put something we feel like might be interesting for Sarah to answer. I saw this earlier. Will, who is on episode 9, is that correct? Was he 9?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yes.
Deep Sky Dude, Okitex, he was asking a ton. I think this question, for you, Sarah, will you be going to the Okitex Star Party?
I should be like in terms of like, that's what I should be doing with my time for sure, because that's awesome. Tan, I think you're going, right? And then Will, you're for sure, like, you both basically own that place, right? I don't know yet. I'd love to.
Yeah.
Just go.
If you do go, make sure Will is the first to know.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
He says, I'm already there.
Right. It's a mindset anyways. So it's just like constantly. By the way, always love your music.
Oh yeah, dude. I just a subtle plug. If you watched past episodes of the Galactic Window, Will is a musician, and his new album's coming out at the end of the week, right? The 23rd. That's Friday the 23rd.
Oh yeah, we gave him that timeline, dude.
We did. So just if you've been around, you're a past listener, or you're back in the chat, Deep Sky Dude on all popular music platforms. You can find him. New album dropping, Volume 5, Deep Sky Tunes.
Bro, I hope you're not procrastinating and just waiting till like 2 days before to start working on the songs.
Yep. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Nope. If you were gonna respond to Will, I don't want to intervene.
Nope. Feel free to go for it. I was going to change topics.
Okay. I was going to say, I think Rand, hi Rand, he asked if we are going to try to capture the super blue moon tonight.
Oh, here's the question. Oops. I think we both clicked at the same time, Tan. Sorry. I have no idea what the weather is. It apparently looks clear. According to my watch, I have no idea what the situation is. That would be fun to try.
So knowing that there was going to be a podcast tonight, Rand, I went out and celebrated 1 million followers on TikTok by streaming the moon, but also being in the photo or in the shot with the moon. So basically, we were streaming through a telescope, and then I just ran up this little hill with my walkie-talkie. That way I can coordinate with my friend who's manning the telescope. And we've never done this before, so it was super exciting to show the moon. I mean, it's like 99%, so it's not full, but it's close enough, right? It's a day before the full moon. But it was the first time I ever got to do that, and it was just such a special moment to show people how beautiful the moon was, but also to be in the shot with the moon, in the background, and me reading the people's comments. So, yeah, I got to kind of shoot it a little bit. Super exciting. It was beautiful.
That's awesome. Nice. The Tan Transit.
Yeah.
Transit.
Yeah.
That's now the second tan pun that I've made on the show. We had tangent and transit.
Man, I love it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Kayla, I would love to hear book recommendations from Sarah's shelf.
Ooh. Okay.
That's a good one.
All right. Well, for sure, Contact. That is, great book, great movie as well. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, speaking of hold on. Actually, wow, this is harder than I thought. Lots of different types of topics, but astronomy, like space related.
Is that the golden record back there?
It is. Yes.
Oh, that's gnarly. That's cool. It's not
Yeah.
a book, but yeah,
It's a
that's
book.
awesome.
It is actually, yeah, I have like the real, like I have not the real one, but I have like a,
Oh, come on. You didn't go out to deep space to get Voyager and
Voyager,
pull it
yeah.
right off? Yeah.
yeah, that's actually why I read this book, because I was like, space travel. How do I do that so I can take that record player or record and yeah, keep it for myself away from all of the aliens. Gosh, okay. Wow, Kayla.
Sounds like this is a tough one.
This
Good
is.
question, Kayla.
Yeah. Okay. Probably like, all right. I love Brian Greene. Sorry, my microphone. I love Brian Greene. He's a physicist. He's just wicked smart. He's just really good at being able to communicate like incredibly complex scientific concepts in ways that actually make sense to the layman, such as myself. I don't know. He's just so eloquent, and he's just a real homie. You know, like he's a dude that I would just like really want to be friends with, because he's just like, I understand quantum mechanics. I want to write a book about it for other people so that they can also understand. And I'm just like, dude, that's so sweet. Like, that's really cool of you that you want to do that, because that's hard. And yeah, so until the end of time, just trying to find meaning in this evolving universe.
I'm gonna have to pick that up.
Yeah, I've never heard.
Time. Yeah,
never heard of it or him. I'm enlightened.
You know, Brian Greene, shout out. He's like one of my biggest inspirations, just as a human.
Brilliant. Anybody else? If you've got a question, here's George. What's up, George?
What's up? Oh, my favorite DSO target. Okay, there's this nebula that looks like an hourglass. It's called the Hourglass Nebula, actually. It's a planetary nebula, and it's so weird because like in the middle where like the two, I guess what you would call like the glass structures of an hourglass connect, there's like this eye, and it's just or this eye looking thing. It's wild. Like it, like I highly recommend looking for this target. It's called the Hourglass Nebula.
Bro, you gotta look at, yeah, see this.
Yeah, dude, it's so, I don't know, it's just like so eerie, but so cool all at the same time. And
that is crazy.
That's what, yeah. And I also just like love planetary nebulae. It's just wild and weird, and I don't know. That is my favorite DSO. What about you, George? Also, I loved your latest YouTube video. It's good to have you back.
Man, crazy, bro.
I just looked up Hourglass Nebula as well, and I'm like,
blown away. It kind of reminds me of the Helix, right? But like, at the core of it, that's insane. It's just staring at you.
It is. It's like, what's up? And I'm like, yo, hey. It's like, how's it going? I'm like, I don't know. It's just like floating in space. Like, seeing it oriented horizontal is also kind of creepy too, because it's just like, hey, you know, I don't know.
Here's a question. Are nebulas friendly?
Okay, well, I think just like we always have to start with like like, how are we defining friendly? Like friendly in terms of like we could exist there? Obviously not, but I don't know. I hope they're friendly.
I think I would quantify it as, do they say hello when they walk by you, and do they help you when you move? I don't know.
It's not been disproven.
Yeah.
So I hope so. I think yeah, right. It is just science. I'm sure it's in this book. No, they're probably not very friendly. You die in them, but I think that's kind of what's a good friend. You probably die in your friend too if you exist there.
Yeah, totally.
Is there any one photo or piece of media that you are especially proud of creating?
Oh, Gosh, probably like my deep space astrophotography with the star tracker. I don't know. I think that one's, I mean, there are lots of things I would change about it now, but like just the fact that like I, for one, just decided to even like do that because I was overwhelmed by that video. But the fact that like I even finished it and then it was like really helpful, or apparently like helpful, was probably yeah, I think probably that. For now, that's going to be my answer.
Nice.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Any final questions for Sarah in the chat? If you guys want to drop them in there, let us know. And this will be the final call here for Q&A session with Sarah Maths Astro. Until then, I will ask one question for you myself. I'm gonna throw this in there. You like to say in your videos, grab a snack. How did that how did that come about? I know it's probably pretty obvious, but maybe there's a story I don't know. Like, can you explain why you like to say grab a snack and let's get started?
Oh man, I love snacks. That is the origin of that. Snacks are like kind of the defining aspect of me. It's because, okay, so if you ever meet me in person and we ever go out to lunch or something, or just anything, I always have like snacks in my pocket, or like I will, like if I'm not finished with like the bread, I will put it in my pocket for later. It's just kind of I just always have snacks. Like I'm not kidding. Like I really.
Are you like Napoleon Dynamite keeping tater tots in your
No, truly, like, yeah, I get called out for that, but it's not because like I'm like trying to copy him. It's just like I just am always like, yeah, like I have crumbs in this one here, I think. I just always have snacks. And so I remember where it first came from was like in like one of my beginner overview telescope videos, and I just led with it. And then I was like, you know what? That's just very me. So I just kept going with it. Everyone else like has like way cool like intro lines. They're like so smooth, and mine was just like, I don't know. So I just kind of kept with it.
It's you.
It's very you. It's very demure.
Yes, thank you. I'm always trying to, I never thought of myself as demure, but maybe I am. I don't know.
I love that you're a snacker, because that's all I ever think about. It's just like,
you too?
What's gonna be the next thing? Yeah, I love snacking. Usually, I don't know if this is the right word for it, but someone came up with the word bungry, and it perfectly describes it. Because half the time I'm not really hungry, but I'm just bored. I'm bored hungry. Like I could eat something. Like even right now, after this podcast, I'll probably snack on something.
Oh my gosh,
I love it, and I'm like so stoked for you, like when that's gonna happen, because it's just gonna be like, I don't know, it's just, it's wonderful. I'm like super grateful to be born in this time of life.
That you're afforded the ability to be bungry.
Yeah. Like I was not afforded like 100 years ago. My ancestors was like, no, get out of here. Like dinner time's not until never. So
go eat your bread from last week.
Yeah.
So I got an idea. So if you're down for a repeat or for a return episode, we could totally just be eating and having a conversation the whole time.
Can we get space snacks?
Yeah, let's do it.
We eat moon pies,
guys.
Yeah, twist my arm.
Yeah.
I'm so down. Like it would be so great. We could talk about like, eating like astronaut ice cream. That's so fun. And it's messy. So
we're doing it.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Snack
okay.
Chats. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
The galactic drive-through window. That's what we're gonna change the name to.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, that's genius. I do love that. So if you're in, I'm in. Cool. Well, I think that's a perfect place to call it a night. And I've had so much fun talking with you, Sarah, getting to know you for the first time. And I know everybody else who's hung out with us the whole night, I'm sure they all feel the same. So thank you very much for being here and sharing your passion and excitement for space with us. It's been so much fun to peer through your view of the galactic window.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. And I've had so much fun just talking with you guys and, getting to interact with everyone in the comments. And yeah, just thank you all so much for your awesome hospitality. And I just really appreciate it. I'm like so grateful to be part of this community. Seriously, you all are amazing.
That reminds me, is there anything you'd like to plug that you're working on that's upcoming that you want to just make sure people know about before you head out?
Space snacks. Yeah. that's on the that's on the top. Yeah, no, just
I like it.
Stay tuned. I'll have some like review videos if you guys are interested in like maybe like a telescope that you would kind of move from like a telephoto lens to a telescope. This telescope I'm reviewing right now, I think would be a really great choice. So stay tuned.
Okay. Here's a question real quick. Sarah, are you on TikTok? Where can people find you on social media?
I am on TikTok, and yeah, I think it's Sarah Maths Astro over there as well. I think so. Yeah.
Sweet. Very cool. Yeah, everybody be sure to go find Sarah on your platform of choice, or maybe all the platforms of choice.
Sure,
go there and follow her, support her, and be sure to say hello in her comment section so she knows you're from the podcast, you know?
Yes.
Tan, anything before we exit Sarah here?
Tonight's been just absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I was super excited because, I've always known you, but we've never had, a chance to just kind of sit down and just kind of get to know each other. So thank you for everything that you're doing for the astrospace. I know people are finding your videos to be extremely helpful, and I don't imagine that's going to change anytime soon. So once again, just thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, we look forward to the snack episode as you come back. I'm going to be very excited for that. And until next time, Sarah, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
We'll see you later.
Bye, guys.
All right. That was phenomenal. What'd you think, Tan?
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
That was amazing, dude. That was
awesome.
Oh
my gosh. The like perpetual, like huge, beautiful philosophical answers and thoughtful questions all throughout. It was just like stitched one after the other. It was so cool.
Yeah. I really like getting inside the mind of just other content creators too, because I don't know, I feel like we're all beasts in our own way, and it's kind of cool to kind of share that with with other people, to see kind of the behind the scenes of why we do what we do and how we do it.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man. So Tan, do you want to give people a little sneak preview of what next week's episode looks like?
Oh, dude, yeah. Okay, so
Yep.
This is super exciting. If you guys didn't know, I don't remember when it was. A couple months ago, TikTok flew me out to Colorado to do a really cool collaboration with this company that does zero gravity like flights. Basically, it's the closest thing you can get to being in zero gravity without actually being out in space. And I knew after that trip that I'm like, I knew I had to get him on the podcast. So I shot my shot, and I was like, dude, we got to talk more. So next week we're gonna do that. We're gonna have Tim Bailey, and he's the guy who kind of just runs Go Zero G, and this is just something I'm extremely excited for. This guy is so knowledgeable in space, but it's gonna be a good one, and I would encourage you guys to come hang out with us. It's gonna be next Wednesday. We're kind of switching it up, so we'll be doing it at 9 p.m. next Wednesday instead of Monday. But really hope to see you guys there. This guy is just such a insane amount of knowledge, and what he's doing is just so freaking cool. And I'm saying too much. Just tune in next week, all right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I can't wait to meet Tim. I'm like living through your connection because you had such a cool experience with him. And I was like looking him up on social media, and I'm like mind blown for the like things that this dude has done and the people this guy has met. Certainly going to make for an excellent episode. So we're just continuing the streak of like super fun, brilliant guests.
Yes, on here, Teresa. Yep, same platform. Yep.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, next week's episode will not be Monday. It will be on Wednesday instead. So that's the 28th of August. So just make sure you are subscribed to the Orbital Alliance here on YouTube. Hit the notification bell on the channel, And whenever we go live, you'll get a notification to your device, whatever device of choice is, that saying that we've gone live, so you don't miss it. And any future episodes coming up, which at this point we're issuing episodes every single week. So, and if you missed them, there's a playlist here on YouTube. You can also find it on YouTube Music under the podcasts tab. You just search the Galactic Window, and you could listen to all the previous episodes going back to last year. So it's going to be a really great time. And there's so much. So we got so many cool things coming up. I'm freaking out.
Yeah, we're excited. We are excited.
Yes.
Writing on your calendar. Yeah, if you can't make it, the best thing, the great thing about YouTube is you can always revisit them. We understand that there's going to be times where you guys are just busy or things come up. So, if we don't catch you live, it's all good. It's just going to be up on YouTube for you guys to watch anytime you want. So thank you guys so much for hanging out, though. You guys are awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody in the chat. With that, I think it's time to end the stream, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Yeah. So thank you very much. Next week, Wednesday, August 28th, the Galactic Window Space Podcast. We'll see you guys all on the other side.
Peace.